right, folks, episode 4. We made it to 4. Episode 4 of 10. We're almost halfway there. This will most definitely be a 2-part episode. So after this story's done, we'll be halfway through the journey. Originally, on the first episode, I mentioned that I was trying to write a book. And the book was going to be about this experience, which is my very first tour. It was with Prophecy from Dallas, Texas. And I went to Europe with them for a month with Rottenness from Mexico and Carnal Decay from Switzerland. And it had a lot of things go down throughout that whole thing. And in the end, I lose my passport and get stranded all alone with no money, sick, no sleep. Man. So, yeah, I need to talk fast and shuffle through the first half, which is the tour itself. And then the next episode will be how I got back to America all alone, broke as fuck, sick as fuck, sleepy as fuck. And it's pretty interesting. But I got to start chucking through this whole thing. So it all started. So I'm 21. This is 15 years ago. I wasn't even 21. I was 20. But I was still in high school. I know. So I'm an artist. I'm pretty good at like art. Physical art, music, like fighting, whatever. Like if it's artistic, if it's cutting grass, I'll fucking cut the fuck out of it. But book smart never was my thing. I remember in first grade having trouble. Like I hate school. I'm shitty at learning shit that I don't want to fucking learn. So it was always a thing. But anyway, yeah, I'm 20 years old. I've already dropped out. I've come back. I'm just, yeah, anyway. So it's that time. It's like my senior year. I'm almost done. And my friend Ricky V from Shreveport, great drummer, legendary drummer, I saw that he was playing with Prophecy. And I had never heard of Prophecy at the time, 2007. And they'd been around a while, for sure. They're one of the original like slam bands from Dallas. Prophecy and Devourment have always like butted heads about who started slam in Dallas. So there's a thing there. But yeah, I had never heard of him. I see that he's jamming for this band. I check out. I remember it was Digging a Pit, which is a cool song. And so I was stoked for him, and that's pretty much all that was. So then I see that there's a European tour posted. And I don't know if I reached out to him first or what, but I know eventually I was talking to Trish, who is a promoter from Dallas, who had booked Cancer Horror a bunch of times. And it was like James's friend. I think she was involved in some way. I don't know. But basically, I was inquiring about the tour and like Ricky. Something was weird, but basically he wasn't doing it. I thought he was the drummer. I'm asking about it, and then in that same conversation, it's like, he's not doing it. You should do it. I'm going to write James right now. And I'm like, whoa. And I remember my grandma, rest in peace, my favorite person who ever lived. I'm sitting on the computer in the trailer when that happens. And then I look at the dates, and I sit back, and I'm like, whoa. My grandma was like, what? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I just got offered this European tour. And she looks at it. She goes, do it. And I'm like, we're poor. We've always been poor. You have a chance to do it, do it. So I'm like, shit, okay. Basically, that's what happens. She writes him. He writes me. And we had a show coming up in like a month or something like that where, I don't know. Honestly, the time frame from that moment to like me going there is a little off in my head. It was so long ago. I gave myself a headache trying to remember all this stuff earlier. But regardless, months later there was a show where it was Cancer Horror, Psychiatric, Prophecy, and I had just did one show with Psychiatric Regurgitation. And so it was kind of like his way to see me play, our way to meet. And yeah, we played that show, I meet him, everything seems all right. As I had mentioned in the previous episodes, I was real tight with Devourment. It's kind of a different lineup now. I still love all the guys, but at the time it was like I'm always partying over at Eric's house. They had this awesome party house with the guys from Forever Mourn, which is this black metal band from Dallas. Great guys. But yeah, it was like everybody just didn't like Prophecy. Most people from Dallas, I feel like, at least in my group, then didn't like James and kind of almost made fun of the band a lot. But like in Europe and like other places, they're a huge band, especially in Europe. They're fucking huge. I don't know. So I remember like approaching the guys. I'm like, hey, I'm going to Europe with Prophecy, and it's like, what? I'm like, hey man, it's fucking opportunity. I don't know. And I've just always been like the kind of person that if someone's talking shit about this guy, I'm still gonna give him a chance. And that's just the way I've always been. So regardless to what they thought, that's not my past with the guy. So yeah, as far as I was concerned, he was cool. And yeah, I know a month before that, before the tour actually, is when I went there. And at that point, the tour was in jeopardy. I don't remember what his plan was prior, but something had fallen through, and now it's like we couldn't afford our own tickets. So we weren't trying to fly ourselves out, we were trying to get flown out. That was the scenario. We're all pretty broke. Honestly, I was broke as fuck. I was broke. And probably like, man, I want to say like 2 weeks before we flew out, or I mean, it was all crunch time for sure. I can't remember when it was, but Tom from Grind Ethic Records signed us. So he paid for the 2,000 or something to fly us out. We'll knock the tour out, and in response to him helping us out, we'll release the album on his label, and he'll make his money back. So that was the plan. So whenever I went to Dallas, I went to my post office in Shreveport and dealt my passport shit because I didn't have my passport. So as I'm in Dallas and it's getting closer to time, I realized like, oh shit, dude, they're gonna send my passport to Shreveport. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Like, we gotta fly out of Dallas. So we go to Houston because there wasn't a passport agency in Dallas at the time. We drive to Houston, however many hours, 4 or 5, and wait in line, do all the dumb shit. And the girl is such a fucking bitch at the window. She basically says like, we'll change the address, but I'm not going to give you a passport. The day before your flight, if you don't have it yet, come here. I'm like, drive 10 fucking hours back and forth, whatever. So I get out there, I'm fucking pissed. Well, lo and behold, guess what? No passport. So now we have to drive to Houston from Dallas the night before flying out of Dallas, and we have a donut on the car. We're both broke. He's speeding his ass off. I remember there's a big old traffic jam. He's like on the side lane, just fucking speeding past everybody like a lunatic. He is the craziest goddamn driver I've ever fucking seen, and that's the goddamn truth. That dude is a fucking psycho when he drives. So he's driving like a psycho all the way there. I'm surprised we even fucking made it. We get there. I'm hopping out of the car. I feel like we're really on a deadline for whatever reason. I put the itinerary in my mouth, and I'm like putting my hair back, and the wind blows the shit out of my mouth into the street. I start freaking out because I have to have that to get my passport. I have to have that itinerary. So traffic's running over it. I have like a little gap in traffic. I run, I grab it, and I'm just kind of like fucking run out. Ooh, like it's stuck to the flat part of the ground or whatever. So I run, fuck, get it, just kind of like kick it, like grab it, and almost get ran over. I remember looking up and like, and someone's just like, no, about to fucking run over me and fucking. So anyway, yeah, get to the agency in time, talk to the main guy. He gives me the passport. I tattletale on the bitch. There was a whore. She gets in trouble, which makes me feel good. We head home, and now I got my passport. So, boom, we're heading to Germany now. And the original, like, I want to say what I was told was, hey, we need to bring in $50 a piece for gas. And I'm like, okay, cool. So it's like we all have like $200. Then we fly into Germany. We meet Jens. He's like the president of NRW. There was a fucking amazing venue called the AJZ Bondam, and it's my favorite death metal headquarters, period, on the planet. Anyone who's been there knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Circle Pit Commando. Amazing. I would fucking live there in a heartbeat if I could. I support those guys so hard. So anyway, man, I meet Jens. And he at the airport, and I remember I go and I'm like, man, I need to go to the bathroom. I need a pee pee. He's just a big German dude, like pee pee. Just joking, whatever. So yeah, we go to the. He drives us to the venue. It's like 2 hours. We land in Frankfurt. Now we're going to Vermelskirchen. I think is how you say it. Pardon my German. And we go to the venue. We're meeting everybody. I meet Lemmy, the bartender. Shout out to Lemmy, bad motherfucker. Mutilated from Detroit was there because they were from America. So it was just the American bands, which I think was just Prophecy and Mutilated and Gut Rot, same people basically. And I met Rottenness. They were there. And yeah, so it's like, and those guys are great. Like I instantly hit it off so much with them. And in my personal situation with Prophecy, it's like James, the guitarist, his fiance Stephanie on bass, and then Brian on vocals. And so it kind of felt a little like James and Stephanie. Brian doesn't really get along with anyone. And then me. Like I kind of smoke weed and I'm just a little more of like a woo type of dude. So it ended up really quickly becoming James and Stephanie, Brian, me and Rottenness and Colonel Decay. It was like we're the ones having fun and kind of like woo. And James is just unhappy about a lot of things. I mean, there was a lot of things to be unhappy about, 100%. So, such as we start the tour, probably 2 days in, after the fest, Stenek, the driver, is like, we realized it wasn't everyone pitching 50 a day, or for the trip, it was 50 a day for the tour. So it's like, we're instantly like, oh my God, we don't have that. We're miscommunication. We weren't playing. So now it's like every dollar we make is going to gas. So we're all just so broke and hungry all the goddamn time. So that was like kind of the first thing. Like from the get-go, we're like, oh goddamn, we don't have any money. So we're really like, James and Stephanie are kind of like using like their bill money for the previous month, or like however they had it. I guess the money for next month that they saved up, they're like dipping into it. And every show they give us crates of beer. So I'm literally like surviving off beer. We usually get fed once a day. So like I'm getting something in my stomach, but I'm drinking beer all the time. And let's see where we at. Yeah. So NRW ends up being the greatest fucking day of my life, weekend of my life. Never played anything like that before. So many great bands, so many cool people, such a great place. Yeah, I got some footage of it. I'll splice it throughout here. But it was just so goddamn cool. So then the next one is Kassel, Germany. Pretty cool show. It's not like a huge NRW Death Fest or anything, but it was cool. The next day we're in Tilburg, Netherlands. And that shit was fucking awesome. It was called the Little Devil, I want to say, in Tilburg. And I remember like, it's in Holland. There's like cats everywhere because you can't drive. So there's like fucking cats everywhere. Rennie from Colonel Decay, he goes and gets some weed and some hash because they got coffee shops there. So now we finally got some. We're not like sniffing weed out everywhere. Now we have our own shit. So we're all pretty content. It's like the tour's been pretty good so far, and we're digging each other's company. And now we got some pot, and we're ready to do this goddamn thing. Let's just hope we can make it through. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys. Yeah, man. So yeah, we play Holland, and things are okay, I guess. I don't think the money situation had quite happened yet. I think at this point, everything's going as planned. But so we play Holland, and the next stuff is the UK. So we have to go to France and take a ferry to the UK. And I had never been on a ferry, so I don't know. We go. Basically, Colonel Decay brings in the van, right? And no, I'm tripping. Sorry. Stenek, our driver, we have a Sprinter, and then Colonel Decay has a van. Sorry, this is so long ago. And we take the ferry. We go to the UK. Was like the Dover Cliffs or something, the White Cliffs. It's really beautiful. Past there, and all of a sudden, everybody is like getting off the ferry, and I'm like, well, where is everyone? And we were supposed to be in our vehicle apparently. So like, there's like all these vehicles down below, and no one ever informed me. But I guess at a certain point, you get in the car, they dock, and then all the cars drive out. Well, I'm like wondering where the fuck everybody is, and starting to panic, like, oh shit, you know. And luckily, I spotted Colonel Decay, and they saw me kind of like, what are you doing? Come here. And I hopped in their van and got out. Luckily, or I don't know, I would have been stuck there for a minute. So like, yeah, I remember that was kind of funny. So we go, because we don't have cell phones either, so it's hard to communicate with everybody. I think eventually we just kind of met up on the outskirts, and I hopped back in my ride. But let's see. Yeah, that first show was South End on the Sea. I referenced it in the last episode when I met Paul. So this was the show that I met Paul and Cerebral Bore. Also, Junkie John from Gore Rotted, the drummer for Gore Rotted, he was there. I can't remember what band he was playing with. Twitch of the Death Nerve, maybe. I'm pretty sure it was one of Tom's bands from Grind Ethic. It just is Infected Disarray, possibly. I don't know. It's been so long. Crap. But yeah, that was a cool show. And I think I kind of explained that show in the last one. The next show was Manchester. So this is where things start getting interesting, because we're using Carl Decay's, we're backlining everything. So like the drums and guitar head and everything besides the guitars. And we're playing this show, and whenever we go to play, I don't know what, but basically the guitar head gets fucked up. So I think maybe the money thing as far as gas had come up. So we already dished out whatever extra money we had. And now this guitar head's blown, and they're blaming us, saying, well, we need to pay for this guitar head. And James is like, dude, it was already fucked up whenever we started. So he's blaming Halil from Rottenness, saying, well, it was already fucked up. He needs to pay for it. So now we're starting to butt heads. We're just getting started with the tour. So this is when it really started getting rocky. Like I remember that show being, you know, things were getting uncomfortable. I'm not sure how it plays out from that point. We never paid money for the head. I think they just took it as a loss because there was a backup head that we used. So yeah, we go to the Purple Turtle in London was the show after that. And I remember that there was 2 addresses. So I guess they had GPS. It was like the first time I'd heard of it at the time. And there was 2 different addresses. So like I remember we're going, we're late as fuck. We're most of the package. It's Rottenness and Prophecy. And I remember passing the hill. In my head, it's almost like San Francisco, where the hills were like, whoosh. I don't know if London's known for that, but I remember passing a hill and looking over and seeing the city, like, in the distance, and going, I don't think we're going the right place, and sure enough, we weren't. So yeah, we roll there, we're super late. That was kind of the main memory, was just being super fucking late. That's where Tom is from Grind Ethic, so it was like his big show, and it kind of sucked, but yeah, we made it there, and we did our thing. So that was the final. There was only 3 in the UK. So now we're going to take the ferry back to France, and we're all meeting up, trying to figure out what to do. I think, let me see. France, and then we headed to Switzerland. Yeah. So yeah, we're all putting our heads together, and we're going, hey, we can either like, I don't know what the options were, but what we came up with was, let's just jet to Switzerland because we had a few days off, I guess. And Colonel Decay is from Switzerland, so we pretty much go. And I might be squeezing this in the wrong time, but I'm pretty sure from Switzerland from France to Switzerland, it's a decent drive. And at one point, we park to take a nap and stuff. And Reto, I should know his name. I feel like they were calling him like Reto, R-E-T-O, the drummer for Colonel Decay. he goes out to sleep, and it's like as soon as he lays his shit out, starts raining. He gets under it. It's like a foam mattress, so he's kind of like under it. I'm like, man, this motherfucker's, and it starts pouring down so motherfucking hard, so fast. He just has to run back into the van, and I remember that being like, it's both. It's like I feel so bad for him, but at the same time, it's like a cartoon or something. It was just fucking hilarious. So we go to Switzerland and regroup for a few days. I hate, can't talk. Hung out, stayed at Renee's house, Rennie, the singer for Carnal Decay. He had another band called Cropment. He was kind of doing session stuff at the time. So it's like the front man for Carnal Decay, the Pussy Shredder is his nickname. I'm staying at his house. And it's kind of just low key, whatever, we're chilling. A few days passes, we go, now it was a Switzerland show. This was fucking a great show. And man, I don't know if anything too special happened there. I do remember like smoking. And like in Europe, people don't just like smoke a lot of weed. They'll like take one hit and like chill for a while. Hardly anyone just like smokes a whole blunt to themselves. Like that's rare. So I remember they were like looking at me like, man, you guys keep smoking or whatever. I had like 2 beers. And I remember setting my drums up, and every time I would like bend down to do something, I'd lose my balance. And like it happened a few times, and it didn't hit me till later that the fucking altitude, you're so fucking high that one beer can get you pretty fucked up. Same thing with weed. So yeah, that's one thing I remember about that is it was a cool show, and I remember kind of being like, oh, I gotta watch out, get too tipsy. So we next show after Switzerland was Italy. And the cool thing about this show, we play with Sepulchral Gorge and Putridity. And I had never heard of Putridity until then. And anyone who knows who they are, they're the most badass brutal death metal band, period. I don't give a fuck. Just check them out. Super fast drumming, super fast everything. The drummer Dave is like the sickest death metal drummer out there. And Chichio, which I was saying his name is CCO for fucking a decade before he corrected me. Chichio, the singer, fucking hilarious guy. Great band. Anyway, 2007, I discovered them. So the venue was a shithole. The bands were good. The PA sucked. There was no toilet paper. I had to wipe my ass with a sock. The food was terrible. Italy, you know, you would think it'd be, the hype was there, but delivery was not. And that's kind of what I remember about that show. It was just kind of a shithole, but the bands were fucking kick-ass. And we had a decent time, I suppose. Yeah, man. Let's see here. Austria, it was coming up. So as we're heading to the Austria show, there's a combination of stuff. We stop at a random, like not a truck stop, but a stop. And there's some stairs, and we're going. It's just like a little village. It's like this village on the hill. And it was a complete, just random whim. We start walking up this hill. We see all these, like, it's like a cemetery. It's like old shit. And come to find out, during like the Crusades, or I don't know my history too well, but basically I think Christians came and slaughtered this whole village. And there's a shrine of it. And we didn't know it was, you know, but there's this little cave. We walk in, and there's like 1,200 fucking skull and bones, dude. And it was so fucking awesome. So it was like, I mean, and I didn't mention also when we first walked out at the stop, huge waterfall, huge fucking like sharp ass mountains coming out of the fucking water. Arguably the most beautiful sight I've ever seen. So it's like, wow, this is so beautiful. And then all these dead people, and I'm like, holy shit, this is really interesting. So it's like, that was cool. But at the same time, it's time for us to pay gas again. And we're about halfway through the tour. James has really dished out as much as he can, and now things are getting weird. And I have to reach out to my family, and like, we were super poor, live in a trailer. My grandma raised me on Social Security. I don't have even 100. You know, we're poor. But I reached out, told her, I'm like, hey man, anything you can do. And I want to say she sent me like $130 to get us by. And I remember Halil kind of pulling me aside, like, why are you doing this? You know, and I'm like, well, I want to finish the fucking tour, man. Like, and he was threatening. I don't know what point in the tour, and I feel like it was at this point. Uh, Everything got real serious, and he kind of has a little standoff with us, and he's like, "Hey, me and my guys about to catch a train to wherever the fuck. Carl Decay, they're going back to Switzerland. I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing." So James is panic. We're all panicking, and we're like, basically, you can't do that, man. You can't just fucking leave us like this. And Hilo gets all serious, like, well, I mean, I can get Mongo over here and fucking Israel, however you say his name. I called him Mongo. Jacked ass, fucking great shape. Wouldn't be a good day if you had to fight him, for sure. And unfortunately, I'm probably like the toughest guy in the band, so it's like, man, fuck. I remember that moment of like, because I love Halil and Mongo, and it's like things are getting real. He's just doing what he has to do, but now I'm kind of like, well, shit. Unfortunately, this is my side, and like, I kind of have to like fight for. Anyway, we get past it. I find some money. We knock out the two Austria shows. So then I remember those shows weren't too great either. It was like kind of things were getting kind of less cool, So there's a big long drive to Berchtesgaden, I guess is how you say it, Germany. Berchtesgaden, Germany. And we finally show up, and there's fucking nobody there. And I'm like, God damn it, dude. And I walk up and I kick the door open, and fucking packed. And I'm like, what the fuck? And there's like a grocery store across the street. Whoa. And that's where the parking is. So it's like slam packed across the street, parking. They're all over here. So I'm like, whoa. It ends up being a fucking amazing night. And I remember the food that day was chili. And I hadn't eaten in like maybe like 2 days. Things were getting rough. I was like fucking eating people's leftovers off their plates and shit. And like, I was roughing it hardcore. So we get there, I'm like, food, and it's chili, and I'm like, I am not fucking putting spicy ass German chili on my fucking. So I just fucking beer, and I got so fucking hammered drunk that night. And I remember literally waking up the next day, probably the most hungover I have ever fucking felt. I remember I was sick, like real sick, like yellow, sinus infection, coughing, real sick. So now I'm like hungover, dehydrated, haven't eaten, sick as fuck. I remember just like the most neon green fucking loogies, and like, man, I just remember feeling like shit. We're getting towards the end, so like we're almost there. I've already had as much money as I can draw, and we're making money. So like that Germany show's like, okay, it kind of saves this part of the tour. So now we have enough money to make it to the Czech Republic, which is the last show. Czech Republic was the last show. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we made it all the way to the end, but there's a problem. So one thing I forgot to mention was on the way to Austria, we stopped in Venice. And I just don't have time. I wish I could break down everything. I'm trying to explain like a whole month's worth of shit in 30 minutes. But I remember I kept trying to get Western Union, and there was like so many problems with that. But so I almost, just real quick on that, I almost kicked a pigeon because I tried to get money from Western Union. I guess it was at 1:30. It was like so important that I had this money, and I couldn't get it, and I had to get it like changed to a different country because basically I ordered it in Switzerland, and now we're in Italy, and playing Austria tomorrow, so I had to like change it to Austria, and then I had to go find one in Austria to get the money to get us to the show. So it was like really dramatic. I remember walking around Austria by myself, just like, man, it's fucking not as cool as I expected. But yeah, somewhere on that point at Venice, Stephanie was by the water, and I walked up behind her and like, like I just for like, I touched her shoulders, real quick. She's like, I think she like smacked my arm or something. I noticed James like looking at me all weird and shit. And I have to say, like, I lived with him for a month before this. It's been like 2 months, nothing but respect. I knew going into it they were married, not married, but about to be married. And she's pretty, so like from the get-go, I just didn't think of her like that. I know for a fact the whole time I never flirted at all. I showed total respect, never touched her with my finger. It was the first time I ever touched her at all. And he pulls her aside. I noticed it, but I'm not thinking much about it. And at the Austria show, he pulls me aside and like, hey, man, just don't talk to her. Don't touch her. Don't talk to her. And I'm already like hungry and everything else. Been put, you know, I'm saving the tour. Like, there's a lot on my fucking plate right now. And to have this dude fucking telling me what the fuck, don't fucking, I'm like, oh no. So I was gonna fight him. I remember talking to the guys in Corona K, like, I'm pacing around the room. I'm fucking like, saying all that shit. And I knew it was not a good idea. We're flying home to we're gonna fight and then get in the van and then like, and especially if I'm that mad, like, someone's getting hurt, I'm gonna be trying to fucking hurt him badly. So I hope he's trying to hurt me. It's just not a good situation. So I remember through a lot of it, it was like that. Besides everything else, I wasn't getting along with him at all. So yeah, boom, he gets him off. Now I'm like pretty much just like from that point on, I fucking hate him. I'm so fucking furious every goddamn day. It is really a task. So we now it's the last show. We're Czech Republic. We had a plan of staying with this dude Vladimir from Fleshless. He didn't know anything about it. He's like, dude, I moved. You can't stay at my house. I fucking whatever. So now we're stuck, and the bands are leaving, and we're stranded in Czech Republic because we didn't have a plan. So, and also Stephanie is having some kind of crazy like woman cramp, like bad though, like something's wrong. She's doubled over, pale, didn't think she's gonna be able to play. So we basically sell all the merch for like cheap as shit, like half off or more. We sell everything we can for however much we can get, and we're trying to pay this dude, a friend of a friend, $500 to drive us to Ermelskirchen to the AJZ because we know that at least we can crash there because they'll save us. So somehow or another, they empty their bank account, we sell all the merch, and we pay this dude. But we don't even know how to get there, and he doesn't even speak English. So we're just like, Ermelskirchen. So he starts driving, and I like to walk around places. Like if I ever go, I always just try to get familiar with the area. So like once we're in that area, we're going, and I'm looking out the window, and I recognize like a statue. I'm like, stop, and we fucking hop out, and we find the venue, but it's closed. It's like 4 a.m. or some shit or some shit. So we have their number. We just have to find a payphone. So James tries to send Stephanie alone with this German dude that we don't know because they're fighting. And it was a very like uncool thing. He was being like a total dick. So Brian offers to ride with her, keep her safe, basically. Like, and James, is like, oh yeah, motherfucker, doing his James thing. And I wish I could talk. I can honestly talk about this whole fucking thing so much. But this is only, I gotta finish because I've already ran past my time. So, boom, Czech Republic, pay the dude. We're in Germany. Sends her up. So we're waiting for them to come back. He calls them, and now we're there. We have like a day or two before we drive back. Like I'm at a 10. Like I'm fucking like stressed, broke, hungry, sick, everything. Been trying not to fight this motherfucker for weeks now. I have to walk away. Like I have to go away. So like I go away and come back right before we're about to leave. Gather my shit. Go. So as we're heading to the airport, I realize I don't have my passport. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it's got to be in my shit. I got all my stuff. Got to be in my bag or something. And it's 2 hours from Vermelskirchen to Frankfurt. So we get to Frankfurt. I ain't got it. We all empty all of our bags, all of our clothes, everything. I don't have my passport. I mean, we're fucking broke. We were going to be there for 24 hours at the airport, sleeping, because we'd just been up all night. And I'm like, holy shit, what now? So I go to the person at the desk. I'm like, hey, I'm from America. I flew here. We're about to go back. I lost my passport. Do y'all have me in the system so that I can get back home? Nope. You need to find the cops. And that was the beginning of the second half of the story that's going to happen next week. You got the tune in next week and see how I made it back home from Frankfurt, Germany. Sick, deliriously tired, broke as fuck, no identification. I almost died or got arrested. And you're going to hear all about it. So I am way out of time. I hope I may have to trim this up a little bit. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, and share. Do anything you can to give me some activity for this page. And yeah, until next Monday, you guys keep it real, and I will see you then.